Glad you can make it, Cameron.
Yes,
This
thank you.
conference will now be recorded.
Finally catching a break.
Okay, we are now live.
Alrighty, so we do not have a quorum today, unfortunately, so this will be an unofficial meeting. So we won't be able to take any actions in terms of improving minutes or anything like that. But we still do have some pretty good informational items that I think those of you that were able to make it today will enjoy being able to discuss. So I think the first thing we probably ought to do still, just to note who's here, is to go through and do roll. So David Hiddle. Here. Cameron Yates.
Here.
Marcia Blancett.
Here.
Okay. And then Tim Stroshan and Arya Steiger are non-voting members that are also here. But did I miss anyone else? I think that's all I'm seeing on my list here. Okay, so sounds like that's all that's here. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and get the program started. So the first item we'll discuss will be the crash report. So I'm going to turn it over to Arya so she can talk about some of the work that we've done with that.
Okay, yeah. So the crash report we previously reported on, I think 1 or 2 meetings ago, with some preliminary data. The full report is now complete and is available on the Tippecanoe County website. There should be a link to it there in your packet. Overall, the report is larger and more comprehensive than last time. We were able to include the data from our previous report. That is the 2014 to 2017, that sounds right, report. Each report, of course, covers 3 years worth of crash data. So this report was 2018 to 2020 or so. There's some years, I promise I remember them. So in content, it's very similar to the previous report. We included basically all of the crashes that happened in the public right-of-way. So any crashes that happened on private property, such as in parking lots, were not included. And we basically covered different types of crashes. So we covered property crashes, we covered injury crashes and fatality crashes. And we also looked at crashes based on different metrics, such as weather, whether there were animals such as deer involved, whether there were motorcycles involved. Each chapter kind of covers a different angle of the crash data. So because this was our second 3-year report here, we were able to compare this year's data against last year's data, so we can get kind of some trends over a longer period of time rather than just the small 3-year block that we have. Since Carroll County doesn't have a high population, drawing any meaningful conclusions from the crash statistics is difficult but not impossible. But as we get more and more years of data, you know, it's easier to see trends. So we were able to compare the years, and hopefully we'll continue to see some trends and maybe some areas where things have improved or areas where we can make improvements. I guess the other 2 big changes between this report and the last report is that I have included rates of crashes, that is how often crashes are happening compared to the volume of traffic on the road, instead of just straight up crash volumes. So because of course as the road has more traffic, there will be more larger magnitude of incidents. Even if the rate of crashes has not increased, there will just be, you know, a larger total amount of them. So looking at the rates is very valuable. And we've also looked at the rates based on things like the time of day, day of the week, or month of the year. So we got the rate data by looking at some of the traffic count data that we have previously collected for Carroll County. So we're able to leverage our data from that program to inform this crash data program, which is great. So the traffic counts definitely come in handy to determine this sort of stuff. And the other big change between last year and the last report and this report is the inclusion of a slightly greater focus on some of the smaller towns and areas, such as Monticello. We did a couple more maps just based on these smaller communities versus only looking at the incorporated towns, Camden, Flora, Delphi, etc. So I think that's it. It's a really lengthy document, so it's not included in the packet here. Please follow the link to see the full thing and let me know if you have any questions.
All right, sounds like we don't have any questions, but I did just want to mention that if any of you would like a copy of this, we're certainly happy to send it to you if you would rather that we would send you the copy as opposed to just pulling it from the website. That's totally fine. We're happy to do that. Just let us know. I know those of you on the committee have our emails, so please feel free to reach out for that. And also, if you do have any questions that come up after you've had a chance to look through the report, also please feel free to contact us about that. We do these reports every 3 years, so expect one of these in 3 more years. All right, so with that, I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next item under other business, which is Title VI. So this is mostly just an update about this. This is something that we've talked about before at previous meetings. We are getting ready to pass a resolution for our Title VI and Limited English Proficiency Plan. Most of what that plan covers is our work as the Area Plan Commission in Tippecanoe County. But because of the grant that we have through NDOT, where we work with you guys up in Carroll County, we also do have a component that covers Carroll County work, which is why we're bringing it to this committee. And basically what we need to have is a person in place that can review any complaints about our work, our transportation planning work that we do on behalf of Carroll County. So Kent Schumacher has agreed to be that person. So we've talked to him about that. He is listed in the document as the official ADA coordinator, and we should have a resolution passed at next week's administrative committee meeting. We had to move the time for that around. It does normally follow this meeting, but we were worried we wouldn't be able to get a quorum, which we're going to need to make an official action on passing a resolution to approve that. So that's what's going on with that. So we are expecting that to be approved. I will say that as long as I've been here, we have never had any complaints about our work either in Tippecanoe County or in Carroll County, but we do want to make sure that there is a mechanism for people to voice their concerns if and when there are any. And that's something that's very important to have in place. And that's what this plan does. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the Rural Transportation Plan. And Aria has been working on some very nice maps for this, which I'm going to pull up here. So Aria, do you want to go ahead and talk about this component of the plan that you've been working on?
Sure, yeah. So the Rural Long Range Transportation Plan is a new thing for Carroll County. Basically, it's a similar version of our metropolitan areas long-range transportation plan, only fitted better for the different nature, smaller metropolitan area, or lack of thereof, of Carroll County. So a similar type of report. We're still in kind of the initial phases of getting this report put together. So right now we're kind of in the data gathering phase and the we'll call it maybe coordination phase, of working with all the folks in Carroll County to, see what their needs and desires are for this report. So here, basically, I just put together a few of the maps that I've made, some of the kind of basic census data. Can't really see, it's really small for me, but that's fine. Basically, we have access to a whole lot of demographic data. So whether that's persons with disabilities, persons who are veterans, persons who are elderly. We have all the census data by the census tract, number of households, number of jobs, number of people commuting to work, you know, how many cars do they have. We have all sorts of data from the census at the tract level. And this census data will help us to kind of create a prediction of the future. I believe this plan will be 2050, right? 30 years, is that right, Tim, we're projecting to?
Yes, 2050 is our planned target year for this, that's correct.
Yeah, so basically with this census data, we can have kind of a baseline of what is currently in Carroll County, and then we can take that data and extrapolate it, you know, 30 years into the future and see how do we need a plan for Carroll County's transportation needs, you know, based on expected growth or changes in each of these different demographics. You know, how can these demographics be better served? So these maps just show, you know, what's currently there. Let's see, percent of persons taking private transportation to work. I thought this was some very interesting data. Yeah, I mean, overall, I have a big spreadsheet with lots and lots of data. These were just a couple of the maps that I thought would be kind of representative of the types of data that are available to us. So we'll be continuing to work on this in the future. We'll be doing some public outreach. We'll be talking to stakeholders and local officials. It'll be a process. We hope to make sure everyone's involved, everyone is heard, and that everyone is represented and that the report is equitable. So, any questions?
Okay, well, hearing none, there is one other component of the Rural Long-Range Transportation Plan that I wanted to mention because I'm kind of the lead person on this other component, and that would be the public outreach, which Aria mentioned. So we are putting together a survey that we will be able to distribute to Carroll County residents to get some feedback on some what we would call goals and objectives for the plan. So with that, we would try to determine, you know, what aspects of transportation are most important to residents in Carroll County. So this would be things like, is it important to put in some new larger routes for freight traffic or agricultural traffic? Is it important to increase the number of sidewalks that are around? What about adding trails? How important is that to residents? So we're kind of trying to determine just going forward what the transportation network would look like, or what we want it to look like in 2050 to serve the needs of all these different populations that Aria mentioned. And so that's something that we will be talking about with stakeholders up in Carroll County. So that will include some people that are on the roster for this meeting as well as some that are on the roster for our administrative committee. We've already had a couple people reach out to us from Carroll County asking for updates as to where we are in this process. So our plan is to get together a meeting sometime after the administrative committee meeting next week. So we will be reaching out and sending out a doodle poll to schedule that. And then once it's scheduled, we'll kind of give everyone at the meeting an update as to what progress we've made with these two components, and then try to figure out next steps in coordination, because that's going to be very important. We're going to need to make sure to coordinate on this so that we can get some of your help on this. This isn't something that we can do alone. You know, we don't have enough expertise to know everything that's going on in Carroll County, but those of you that work up there do have that expertise. So we're going to be leaning on you for some help in that regard. So we're looking forward to working with you, and be on the lookout for that email. I'll give one more chance to pause for questions about that public outreach piece that I just talked about.
Yep, I am monitoring YouTube here for any public comments. And I do not see any at this time.
Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and move on to the community crossings, which is the next item. So this is just kind of an FYI. So this is something that in the past we have helped out Carroll County with. We've given you guys some data as part of your application process for the Community Crossings Grant. And we know that some money was awarded. This table here shows that Carroll County was awarded $983,000, which is great. The limit is $1 million, so very, very close to the cap there. And we would just like to, first of all, congratulate you guys on your successful applications, as well as mention that in the future we're always happy to help you with applications when they come around. We know we've done this in the past, and it seems to have worked pretty well, and we're absolutely always willing to continue to do that. So if and when you need help on this, please just feel free to reach out. And again, we're happy to help any way we can. Are there any questions about this? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to the next item, which is virtual or in-person meetings. So because of the pandemic, we've been holding these meetings virtually and streaming them, which is totally fine. We're happy to continue to do that. But we know that a lot of our other meetings that we have gone back to the, I'm going to say, traditional in-person format. And so what we're wondering is what your opinion is on that. Do you as the committee have a strong feeling as to whether you want to continue to meet virtually, or do you think it would be more valuable for us to go back to the in-person format where we would come up to Carroll County, go to the courthouse as we have in the past, and meet with you guys? So thoughts on that? Please feel free to share them at this time. Cameron, I see that you posted in the chat that either way is fine with you. Thank you for that. Did anybody else have any thoughts on that? Marcia, maybe?
Maybe. I'm okay either way. Virtual is easier because I'm up here on the north side of Indiana, but since Jackie fills in for me a lot, then and she's always down there too if need be. So either way.
Okay. So it seems like the consensus is either way. So that's fine for now. We are also going to be checking on this same thing with our administrative committee when they meet next week. So perhaps if they have an opinion, that may kind of sway which way we go with this. Because I think we will probably want to keep both of these either virtual or in person. I don't think we want to do one way and one the other way. So we'll see what they say. Thank you all for your feedback, and we will definitely be in touch about this issue once we have things more resolved. Just one other thing to mention specifically about this is that there are some meetings that are statutorily required to be in person. Those are meetings that are known as public hearings. This type of meeting does not qualify as a public hearing, so it is not subject to that restriction. We've checked with our legal counsel about this because we ran into the same question down here in Tippecanoe County. So this meeting does not fall under that. So just wanted to get that out there, that that's not necessarily a concern for this specific committee as it is for some of the other committees that we're involved with here in Tippecanoe County. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've all had a chance to comment on this. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the 18-month letting list as our next agenda item. So hopefully you guys can all see the list here on the screen. There's not too much to report. We do have some projects that are anticipated to be letting today, the 10th. And so I have not heard a report on whether or not these projects specifically let, but they are all on State Road 25. A lot of bridge work at different locations there. So not sure if that project let or not. Marcia, do you happen to know about that offhand?
No, I'm not seeing anything for today's letting yet.
Oh, sorry, that's 2022, so that would be next year.
That'd be next year.
All right. I didn't notice that. I just saw I saw
I
the
didn't
10th and I
either.
thought, oh, that's today.
That's right, I didn't
My
see it
mistake.
either. I didn't notice it either.
Okay, so 2020. So in a year, just pretend I said that in a year.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So then there was one project that was added for the 10th of next year, which is another State Road 25 project, small structure maintenance and repair there. And we also did have some changes in letting dates. So there are some projects that it looks like were on a February letting that were moved back to a September letting, as well as projects that was on a July letting that moved back to a December letting, plus two other new projects there at the very bottom of the list that were added on a December letting.
Yeah,
So,
this is Marcy, if
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
those first three that moved from February to September, those three were pulled out of the original contract and moved to a new contract because of right-of-way issues. They needed more time for some right-of-way on those. And then the one that was in July that moved out to December, that was a letting date issue with harvest time. So that's why they moved
Gotcha.
that.
Okay, thank you. That's a very good update. Yes, thank you for that, Marcia. Does anyone else have any questions on any of these projects? Okay, well, I'm not hearing any. If anything does come up, certainly please feel free to email us or Marcia, and we'll figure out how to find an answer to your question. So with that, I believe that is our last item on the agenda. Are there any other items that need to be brought up for discussion?
I don't have anything for discuss. This is Cameron, but I do want to say thank you guys for all that you do. I know you guys put a lot of hard work and a lot of hours into this. So from our standpoint at Carroll County Area Plan, it's certainly appreciated, and hopefully we can continue to move forward and get through this pandemic again and meet in person. So thank you guys.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Okay, so with no other agenda items, we will pause for 30 seconds or a minute to allow the stream some time to catch up, see if there are any public comments, and then if there are any, we will address those, and if there are not any, we will go ahead and move on to adjournment.
All right, I have a timer here for public comments. Okay, it has been 30 seconds and I see no new comments at this time on YouTube.
Okay, so with that, it looks like there are no comments on Facebook. So we will go ahead and adjourn without objection. And we will be in touch about the Carroll County Long-Range Transportation Plan.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.